From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is AgDay.
Getting their town back.
We're not here for just a handout. We want just what to be done is right.
How the people of rural East Palestine, Ohio are working together to get their town back to normal following that massive train derailment. Not ready for planting.
Well, we had to trench about half a mile back to the road and then start to dig out the bills one by one.
See what farmers in North Dakota are facing as winter drags on. As another round of severe and deadly weather tears across the country, leaving devastation in its wake right now on AgDay. Good morning, I'm Michelle Rook. Clinton is on vacation. Powerful storms have torn through America's heartland, moving through areas still recovering from a round of bad weather last weekend. We begin in southeastern Missouri, where a large tornado caused widespread destruction and killed several people. The tornado touching down in the early morning hours of rural Bollinger County. It's about 50 miles south of St. Louis. The National Weather Service says the tornado stayed on the ground for roughly 15 minutes as possibly an EF2 or EF3 tornado, traveling up to 20 miles. Hit the hardest was a village of slightly more than 100 people named Glen Allen, where the storm destroyed homes and businesses. The National Weather Service also issuing tornado warnings Tuesday evening in Iowa. Officials confirming a tornado touchdown near Pleasantville in Marion County. Another was spotted near Malcolm, Iowa. The storm's also producing a lot of hail in the state. Storms near the Quad Cities produced hail that was up to 4 inches in diameter. And a confirmed twister was also spotted southwest of Chicago near Bryant, Illinois. Officials said another tornado touched down Tuesday morning in the western Illinois community of Kelowna. They say the storm was an EF2. It was on the ground for about 1 minute. But you can see from this video, it had time to do a lot of damage to homes and businesses. The Storm Prediction Center said up to 40 million people were at risk from these storms yesterday. And while communities start cleaning up from this latest round of damage, others are still contending with last weekend's round of severe weather. FarmWeekNow.com talking with Don Meyer of Amboy, Illinois. His farm in Lee County, west of Chicago, taking a direct hit. The tornado classified by the National Weather Service as an EF2 with wind speeds near 115 miles per hour. The storm damaging or destroying all the outbuildings on the farm, but spared the house. Don and his wife Paula hiding out in the basement of the home during the storm. He says he lost much of his equipment and some seed he planned to plant this spring. And this latest round of storms is continuing to push east, but quieter weather is on the way. Meteorologist Chuck Heaver joins us with more.
Okay, well, that cold front continues to move across the country, and with that, we do have an opportunity still for a couple areas, small areas of severe weather over in the Virginias and down in Texas. Let's follow the wind, though. That wind field is incredible, still crossing across Canada and then targeting the northeast, again, just north of New York City, all the way up into Maine. We're going to see wind gusts 35 to 40 miles per hour, then things finally calm down on Saturday. All right, let's talk crop report. There you go. Great news from some folks digging out in California from, you remember, all that snow. Silver Lake Resort camping area in June Lake reports they found the front door of the store today. They say they are working on clearing out the snow every day, and they fully intend opening on their scheduled open day of April 28th. Okay, I'll have more on your forecast coming up.
Well, usually about this time, North Dakota farmers are anxious to start field work and on a few occasions have been able to get seed in the ground by now. But this year, as we've been telling you, Mother Nature will once again push back planting dates. As Jody Kurzman of AgDay affiliate KFYR reports, it's just another challenge in a year that's been filled with obstacles for farmers and ranchers.
This is the life Clint Coleman has always dreamed of.
Grew up this way and it's what I'll always be doing. It's got its challenges for sure, but there's nothing I'd rather be doing.
This winter, the challenges have piled up as high as the snowbanks at his farm.
Pretty crazy.
Finding a needle in a haystack may have been easier than finding a hay bale in a snowdrift.
Well, we had to trench about half a mile back to the road and then start to dig out the bills one by one.
The Colemans are set to start calving on April 20th.
Really happy we bumped it back this year.
They pushed calving back because of what happened last April.
We had 200 to 300 calves during those blizzards.
Of course, there are always a few calves that come early.
It happens.
They'll weather the storm here near the warm barns.
They're looking pretty good.
As he cares for the cattle, Clint can't help thinking of the crops he should be planting.
We should be working on air seeders and sprayers and starting to think about getting seed treated and all that stuff, but we can't even get to our air seeders.
Those air seeders are buried under several feet of snow. The Colemans aren't the only ones pushing field work back. Farmers across the entire state are adjusting their timelines.
We will have a delayed or a later than average planting date.
But producers like Clint Coleman are still optimistic.
Yeah, this is going to be sunflowers.
Not thinking about if they'll get in the fields, but rather when.
In there in the next month or so.
Because Clint's dream of working this land is one that Mother Nature can delay, but not destroy. Near Baldwin, I'm Jody Kurzman, reporting for your news leader.
And that's Jody Kurzman reporting. Crude oil prices have made a big push from the lows both before and after OPEC Plus announced it will cut production another 1.2 million barrels per day starting on May 1st. Some analysts are now projecting prices to move back near $100 a barrel by the end of the year, and that's fueling talk of more interest rate hikes by the Fed.
Yeah, I mean, the market is thinking, well, if that's more of a permanent move higher, that's going to take longer for the inflation numbers to come down. Obviously, until we get that headline number, Michelle, that shows a big knockdown, like 1 month over another, the Fed's going to want to be safer than sorry.
So farmers will continue to face higher interest costs and fuel costs down the road. So market experts say they need to get some of their diesel fuel inventory locked in ahead of spring planting.
A lot of the trades still expect further higher price action. Keep in mind for crude, the general story has been one of disappointment for several weeks and several months. So I think it's great to suggest higher prices, and I would get spring and early summer needs taken care of. But at this point in time, I'm not quite sure if we need to panic just yet. Whole hog on and getting whole year needs.
However, Nelson isn't expecting the record diesel prices of last summer because refining capacity has improved. Well, grains were mostly lower on Wednesday, keeping an eye on the weather. I'll check in with Naomi Bloom about that coming up. And later, meteorologist Chuck Heaver returns to his family's hometown of East Palestine, Ohio, to see how people there are doing after that massive train derailment. And congratulations to the winners of our Case IH Bracket Busters Challenge. Jared Turner of Norwich, Kansas came in third. Michelle Lee of Bluff City, Tennessee is second, and Gary Herndon of Ruffin, South Carolina took first place. He walked away with bragging rights and $1,000. Congrats to all of you, and thanks to everyone who took part.
AgDay is brought to you by Tyrannus, committed to moving the acre forward. To drive more value from every acre, visit acreforward.com.
It was a lower day in the grains on Wednesday. Naomi Bloom with Total Farm Marketing joins us, and really it looked like a weather play with some improved weather kind of pushing the market down on Wednesday. Naomi?
Yeah, absolutely. We're seeing some improved forecasts for the Dakotas and Minnesota, even into Iowa for the latter part of next week. So the market is quite aware of the blizzardy conditions that just went through this week. However, temperatures improving into the upper 40s to 50s. I had a client in Iowa today say that, next week they might even hit into the 80s, and they're thinking about getting the planters out and getting it going, even though it feels a little early for them. So some of that weather premium that we had built in because of the blizzard and cold kind of coming back out. Market, though, still in a nice uptrend. Of course, as you know, we're still supported overall by those tight ending stock supplies that we have. And then, of course, just the need to make sure we have this crop in the ground in a timely manner in the spring.
And Naomi, we've had a nice recovery off the lows in both corn and soybeans especially. And so some of this is just maybe some profit taking, you think, or what?
Absolutely. Profit taking and position squaring heading into the 3-day weekend. On Monday, we did see the market push higher. And for corn and beans both, it got up to some short-term technical targets on the charts. And because we didn't have enough immediate bullish news to get it to go through those resistance levels, seeing that little bit of a pullback, but now the market is on some nice support levels underneath. So it'll be interesting to see what the market will do tomorrow, Thursday, as we then head into the 3-day weekend. I did think it was quite encouraging, though, that China came in and bought corn this morning, unknown with the soybeans. So the demand is there on every little pullback. We're seeing the export market stay strong.
Okay, well, we appreciate the update and your insight. That is Naomi Bloom, Total Farm Marketing. Our full analysis at agweb.com, and we'll have more Ag Day coming up.
To discuss marketing strategies, call 800-334-9779.
Ag Day is sponsored by Germinator Closing Wheels. Germinator steel closing wheels, perfected in conventional, excels in no-till. Order 12 to 16 rows today and qualify for free shipping or 20% off an end zone moisture management package. Ag Day Farm Country Forecast is brought to you by Calhoun Superstructure, engineered fabric buildings serving the agriculture and fertilizer industries for over 30 years. Visit calhounsuperstructure.com/AG. That's calhounsuperstructure.com/AG.
Meteorologist Chuck Heaver is back with us with our national forecast. We've had just a lot of severe weather and a lot of different weather across the country. Are we going to get a break from any of that?
Yeah, you know, this round with that cold front that pushed across that powerhouse storm, finally that cold front's out of the way. We have a little area here and there of some severe weather potential today, but then things quiet down. Okay, we do have a severe threat of weather with that cold front that continues to slide its way across the country today over in the Virginias and then down in far southwest Texas. So keep your eye on the sky if you're in those locations, because that frontal boundary is still working its way across the country. And you can see these storms in future track radar, and they're slowly working their way across. Again, storms down in the southeast going to lay down a lot of precipitation. Not in snow, that's all the way up in the north, up into Canada and far northern United States, and the precipitation forecast shows all that rain under those line of thunderstorms that will continue to train over the same areas. And then, of course, I don't know, this seems pretty normal in the northwest. Yes, more rain. We're going to continue to see that. Now, here's the deal on the jet stream. There's not a lot of cold air intrusion over the next 7 days. Most of this is a zonal pattern. Most of the cold air is still tucked up in Canada. We will eventually get a trough that forms out in the west, and that'll slowly migrate its way across the country, especially in the latter part of the week. You can see that dive down there on Thursday, and we'll get another storm that'll ride along that. Here's temperature: Chicago only at 54. Yesterday it was warm, and then that frontal boundary passed, and then all the way down in the south, you can see here 89 degrees in Miami. Wow, not bad. All right, for tonight, temperatures cool across the country, but overall still mild. Okay, still in line with where they normally would be this time of the year. And there you go, only the warm air, the really warm air, is down to the south, but still mild in the center part of the country. All right, let's look closer to home. Where are we going? Pansy, Alabama. There you go, 89 degrees, warm, 65. Suns, then storm late. Showers and sunshine, 52 and 35 in Meadville, Pennsylvania, and Charlestown, Rhode Island, 60 and 45, fog and showers.
What caused record beef packer margins while fed cattle prices were hitting new lows during the pandemic? A new study may have the answers. And later, meteorologist Chuck Heaver takes us beyond the headlines of rural East Palestine, Ohio, to show us the people helping bring the town back in the country. As cash cattle prices have moved higher, packer margins moved in the red. According to the latest Sterling Beef Profit Tracker, average cattle feeding margins reached $258 per head last week. Now that's up $63 from the previous week. Beef packer margins came in at a $2 per head loss. That's a decline of $36 per head from last week, and the first negative margins in 6 years. Those losses directly related to the $5 rally in cash cattle prices. Cattle sold last week for a total feed cost of just under $600 per head. That's 28% higher than the same week a year ago. The record beef packer margins the last several years, and especially during the pandemic, have been highly controversial. The spread between cattle prices and wholesale beef prices hit $122 per hundredweight in 2020 and a record $156 in 2021. A new study from Iowa State University, though, may help explain the wide spreads. Researchers found multi-plant coordination, such as reducing the cost of labor or marketing beef to consumers, may be a big component. It creates efficiencies for packers, but also increases concentration.
Now the question is, does the effect of having reduced competition in the markets due to multi-plant coordination, does that effect widen the price spreads in a way that offsets the efficiencies? And if that's the case, then multi-plant coordination could very well be the cause of the price spreads that we've seen in the last 5 or 6 years.
Certainly, as we talk about the factors that are impacting the fed cattle market, multi-plant coordination needs to be grouped in with those germane factors like concentration, transportation costs, cattle cycles, and capacity utilization.
For cattle producers, it means that increased capacity from adding more processing plants should narrow those price spreads and give producers more leverage in the fed cattle market. Coming up, a small rural town is still reeling from a massive train derailment. Meteorologist Chuck Heaver takes us to his family's hometown of East Palestine to introduce us to some of the people helping to bring that town back. Next.
AgDay is brought to you by Lamar's Toy Store, the largest and most diversified farm toy store in the U.S. They have new and old and do restorations and customizations too. You need to see it to believe it. Visit lamarstoystore.com or call us at 712-546-4305.
In the Country on AgDay is brought to you by Pivot Bio. What if you had the nitrogen you need already on seed? Pivot Bio is the first company to apply nitrogen on seed. The nitrogen you need, now on seed, from Pivot Bio. Learn more at pivotbio.com.
And meteorologist Chuck Heaver joins us again. And Chuck recently returned to his family's hometown in the area of East Palestine, Ohio, which was the site of the train derailment in rural America. And Chuck, you actually have friends and families that live there, right?
I do. In fact, yesterday we talked about, the senior community that's in East Palestine. Today, I wanted to talk about the people that are actually still working in the workforce. So we talked with Kristen, who has 2 kids in school, and Kathleen, who's a local florist. She's been dealing with flowers for decades. So let's take a closer look.
Here, and they just love to enjoy the flowers, and it just makes people happy. Been here my whole life.
Wow.
My mom, my dad, my grandma, my grandpa, my 4 kids grew up in school here, so I've been here a long time.
Out of all of the things that have happened during this event, what's the one thing that really stands out in your mind? Is there something that...
The love for one another, the human capacity to help each other. There's so much wrong in the world and all you hear is negativity. And you just want to hear, you want to be here and be the positive, because we love our little town. We are just not going to go anywhere. We want to make our town better than what it was. We want to be stronger than what it was, So we're thankful for the people that come in and are trying to help and do things for us, and that and stuff. So that's what we want, it's just we're not here for just a handout. We want just what to be done is right.
I love you. Oh, we have to get a picture. Come here, Cheryl.
We have so many friends here. My family's here. I've lived here all my life. I've never lived anywhere outside of East Palestine. This is my hometown. This is where I grew up, and this is where I want my kids to grow up.
Where are you at now mentally? And then, what do you see, going forward?
Well, I have concerns. This is a big year. My daughter started as a freshman, and she's involved in a lot of sports. And my son's in basketball here, and we've had a lot of schools that have opted to not come here and play because they're scared to come to town. As this goes forward, everybody wants to come back here. My daughter's getting ready to start track, and, we want to make sure, people come here so they can have their track meets on their own,
Right.
at their own school.
What is it about East Palestine that keeps you here?
When something bad happens, everybody, whether they know you or not, they come together and they support you as best that they can. It's just a great community. Everybody sticks up for one another. Everybody gets along, and you just build lots of friendships here.
Thanks, Chuck. Monday on Ag Day, Chuck will wrap up his tour of East Palestine with more on what's next for the town and its people. That's all the time we have for this morning. Thanks for joining us. From all of us here at Ag Day, have yourself a great day.